Hey love, and welcome to the Dear Love channel. I'm Greta, and today we're going to be talking about puberty in girls. Puberty can definitely feel like a whirlwind, from your body changing with new curves and hair growing in places that you didn't expect, to getting your period for the first time. It's definitely a lot to take in. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about everything you need to know and expect when it comes to the stage of life of puberty. And a special thank you to one of you, Giovanna, for requesting this video. All right, let's get into it. What is puberty? Puberty is a natural process where your body goes through changes as it matures from a child into an adult. And while the timing is different for everyone, these are the changes you'll experience as a girl going through puberty. A growth spurt in height and in overall development, like breast development, body hair, vaginal discharge, periods or menstruation, acne, and generally being more oily, and body odor. Okay, so let's go over in a little bit more detail what each of these physical changes will look like and feel like. So overall, puberty in girls typically starts between the ages of 8 and 13 years old. And one of the first signs that you might notice is the development of small nickel-sized bumps under the nipples. And these are called breast buds. So this is like your breasts in their first stages of development. And it's totally normal for one side to start growing before the other, and for these bumps to feel kind of like tender and sore. And as you go through puberty, your breasts will fully form, which is gonna look different to everyone. It's gonna vary in size and in look. Sometimes your boobs are not completely the same size, they're a little uneven. Sometimes they're really small. For some people, they've got big boobs. It's just gonna vary depending on the girl. And a lot of that is genetics. But yes, breast development is usually that first sign that puberty has started. And this might be the stage where you want to get your first bra. There's lots of great training bras that are just like, there's no like wire in it or anything. They're just comfy bras with a bit of padding. That's obviously just up to personal choice, but it can be a time to start wearing your first bra. Okay, let's talk about body hair. This is one that can feel kind of like weird. I just remember feeling kind of weird about like starting to get body hair. So as puberty begins, you'll start noticing coarser hair growing in areas like your pubic area, under your arms, and on your legs. And actually for some girls, about like 15% of girls, pubic hair might actually be the very first sign of puberty, appearing even before breast buds start to form. So again, everyone's a little different with what signs they're gonna see first. But basically, like if you start seeing any of these different developments that we're going through, it's a good sign that puberty has started. And when it comes to body hair, this is also the phase, especially, once you're in middle school or whatever, you'll notice that girls start shaving their legs, shaving their armpits, shaving this new hair that's coming in. So that is also personal choice. Just make sure that you know what you're doing before you shave for the first time, but that's also something you can consider with your body hair. Another development that you will eventually notice is vaginal discharge, which is a whitish fluid that comes out of your vagina. So you'll see it in your underwear. And this is something that typically starts to happen like 6 months to a year before you get your first period. And it's caused by an increase in the hormone estrogen that's in your body that is rising as it prepares your body for your periods to start. But this is one of those things too that like, it's hard to say with the timing. I think it's a good sign that like you're getting close to your first period, but from personal experience, this was something that I think I had for like a couple of years before I even started my period. So everyone's gonna be a little different, but it's a sign to start getting prepared for your periods to begin. Okay, now I feel like this next development is a change that I don't ever remember being taught, like in units in school and whatever. And that change is a change in your labia. So the labia are the folds of skin surrounding the vaginal opening. And there are 2 sets. There's the labia majora, which are the outer lips, and there's the labia minora, which are the inner lips. And both may change in size, shape, color, and overall appearance as you go through puberty. So I just wanted to clue you in on that one too. so that you're not taken off guard if you're like, things look a little different. It's a part of the process. Obviously, if you feel concerned about anything, talk to a trusted woman in your life or your doctor, but odds are it's just a normal part of the transformation. Okay, a big transition that I feel like gets like all the hype is your first period. So a period is when the lining of your uterus sheds out through your vagina in the form of period blood. This is something that usually lasts like 3 to 7 days each month, and your first period might be kind of brown in color and spotty, so not much coming out. And for other girls, it might be bright red in color right from the start and like a full flow, so like bleeding more. And let me say, like, periods can be a very intimidating part of puberty, of questioning like, okay, when is this gonna happen to me? What exactly is this? Trying to understand this whole big thing that's like a big responsibility and like a big shift that you become responsible for taking care of. But I have an entire video that I made all about your first period. It's like the ultimate guide to your first period. So I'm going to link that because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to periods. So I'm going to link that at the end of this video and in the description box so that you can dive into that, because there is so much to learn and so many ways you can prepare yourself. But yes, once you start seeing the signs of puberty, it's a great indicator that your period is going to be coming somewhat soon. It's hard to say exactly when, but it's great to start being prepared with knowledge and education and understanding of what will be happening, and also just the practical ways to care for yourself, like getting pads, which you put in your underwear to collect the period blood, and making a little kit of the supplies you might need and keeping it in your bag at school. I have videos and YouTube shorts and all types of stuff on my channel. So much content around periods because I'm so passionate about periods. So take a look on the Dear Love channel, this channel, and I'm sure you will find lots of support. Another part of puberty is a growth spurt. Girls usually have their growth spurt earlier than boys, and girls go through puberty typically before boys do. A significant amount of your height growth will happen between the time of when you develop your breast buds and then about 6 months before your first period. And typically, after you get your first period, your height growth is going to slow way down. So it's much less common to have like a big growth spurt after you get your period. Again though, this stuff just varies. This stuff absolutely just varies. I definitely grew a bit after I got my period. This is just like averages. And puberty unto itself is like a growth spurt in so many different areas because your whole body is transforming in a relatively short period of time. You'll also notice your body becoming more curvy, your hips will get a bit wider. Again, this is going to look different for everyone. Everyone has their different structure to their bodies. Everyone has their different anatomy. You might be really curvy and you might get wider hips and bigger boobs. You might have small boobs and be very like narrow and slim. It's just there's so many different variations of what the female body looks like. There's not one look, but these are still general shifts that you're going to notice. Other little changes that you're going to notice are likely the development of acne and being generally just more oily, and also developing some body odor. These are just fun little add-ons of kind of like the effects of just like all the hormonal changes shifting around in your body. So yeah, once puberty is underway, you will likely notice that you're developing more oil, especially on your face and maybe also like in your hair. And so this is a great time to shower more consistently and also develop a little skincare routine of just a basic cleanser and a light moisturizer. And then you are also sweating more, and your hormonal changes create more of like a smelly sweat, which is sort of like, ugh. So I know, it's just one of those like weird changes, but shower more frequently and you can wear deodorant. I definitely recommend though paying attention to the ingredients in your deodorant because some of them have some kind of nasty ingredients that are not good for our bodies. So make sure it's aluminum free. I really like the brand Schmidt's, I think is what it's called. They have really good natural deodorant that actually works, and I've used it for years. Not sponsored, but I just really like it. So yeah, I know, so fun, acne and being oily and stinky. It's just like, of course, we've feel a little weird in this phase of life when it's like, what is happening? Why am I greasy and smelly? But just know, it's just like a part of it, and you can keep yourself fresh. I feel like girls are better at it than boys. But yeah, puberty is your body going through a really big physical transformation. So it's very normal to feel a little weird or uncomfortable as you're going through these different stages of development. You're literally adjusting to a new version of yourself. So I just want to validate you if you are feeling weird, like know that that's kind of a part of it, but also know like it's so normal and it's just such a part of your human design. So just keep that in your heart too as you go through this. Now let's go through some emotional changes and mental health, because puberty is this very physical thing happening, but there's so much going on inside with all of these physical changes that are happening. So you may feel more sensitive, more self-conscious. You may experience mood swings, so like shifts in your emotions that seem quite drastic. And these are all caused by these hormonal changes that are happening, as well as brain development, and then just a natural response to these changes that are going on. And then also social and environmental stress. So when it comes to hormone changes, this is like the classic thing that's like, oh, she's going through puberty. She's so like hormonal right now. And it's just like, it's so much more complex than that. But it is true that your hormones are a big driving factor in maybe the irritability and the frustration and all of the shifting emotions, because puberty triggers a lot of hormonal shifts, especially with estrogen in girls, and also adjusting to progesterone as you get your periods. And these hormones don't just affect your body, they also affect your emotions. So when the hormones fluctuate, your feelings fluctuate, and this can feel like irritability or sadness, and it can also encourage you to feel happy and excited, right? Sometimes all in the same day. Then there's also major brain development that's happening as you go through puberty. So your brain, your literal brain, is also going through changes. The part of your brain that controls your emotions, which is your limbic system, it's actually maturing faster than the part of your brain that helps with decision making and impulse control, and that's your prefrontal cortex. And that can make it hard to manage your feelings, and it can make things feel a little out of whack. And then we just have a very natural emotional response to the physical changes happening to our bodies. And this can definitely bring up feelings of self-consciousness or stress of these changes, and also some feeling of like, you know, moving beyond childhood and your child self, which is unto itself an emotional kind of thing to process and realize that you're transitioning into like the older version of you. I think that that can also be a cause of a lot of underlying emotions for some people too. And then we also have social and emotional stresses. This stage of puberty and the age it kind of equates to, like that middle school kind of age, high school age. You know, it comes with these new social pressures as well that you're experiencing simultaneously. So this could be changes in friendships, the introduction of dating, or just other school expectations, feeling like, you know, you're getting older and you need to take your education and your schooling more seriously. I mean, there's so much happening at this age that's not necessarily just the physical changes going on. And then there's also this other piece of it, which is your sexual development, which is literally what puberty is. It's this process of you growing into your adult body, and that also comes with a lot of new feelings and emotions to navigate. Some feelings that have sexual desire, interest in relationships, and this unto itself, as you would imagine, brings a lot of emotions with it too. And I think unfortunately also a lot of guilt and shame and just confusion of how to respond to these new feelings that are driven by this process that's so human. So I know that that can be a bit taboo and loaded, but it's a part of puberty, is this new emergence of your sexual self. It's just a part of it. So with all of this, talking through all of the physical changes, the emotional changes, and then these different stressors that come into play and these other shifts and changes that happen, I want to go through some different points of advice to hopefully support you through this phase of your life. Okay, so my advice, number one, is to be patient with your body. Puberty doesn't happen all at once. It's a process that takes years, and at different times you go through different stages of it. And some of these changes might be confusing and frustrating, but remember, your body is doing what it's designed to do. Be patient with yourself as you understand your new self. Okay, number two, communication is key. If you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to someone you trust. Maybe that's a parent or a sibling or a friend or a counselor. No question is too silly or too small. And this is a time of change, so it's so natural for lots of different questions and worries to come up. I hope that you can express that to someone, so you don't just keep that inside. And I think communication too in your relationships with your friends and your parents. I feel like this is such a classic phase where frustration and irritability comes up with our parents. So if you can, make it clear where you need space and time for yourself and when it is you want to talk and feel empowered to do that, to have those lines of communication. Okay, advice number three is self-care. Taking care of your body and mind is so important, and it's so important as you're going through these physical changes of development. Like, your body is doing a lot, so it's important to eat nutritious food and drink lots of water and get good sleep and exercise, and to try to manage the stress you are feeling in healthy ways. So that could be journaling or exercise, or having your core people that you can talk to, or if things are really tough, having a therapist or a counselor. Time too for your faith practices. All of this stuff is so important. Really be mindful of caring for yourself, maybe even in new ways through this time. Advice number four is to embrace the change. It's happening, and that can feel intimidating when something's happening that you can't really control. You can't stop it if it's feeling intimidating to you. So the best thing to do is just surrender to it and let it happen. It's a natural part of your human design. So I encourage you to embrace it. Puberty can feel like a lot, but it's also an amazing time of growth and brings you so much more on the horizon. There's so much more to getting older that's exciting and filled with more freedom and personal choice. And that stuff is exciting. So try to celebrate it and get excited about who you're becoming. Advice number five is to talk with God. I think that puberty can be a very awkward time when it comes to our faith. But I want to remind you that all of these changes are a part of God's design. So if you feel frustrated about it, if you feel weird about it, if you feel nervous about it, or maybe you're excited about it and you're curious about it, talk with God about it. Set a quiet place and talk out loud to God, or write out a letter to God with everything on your mind. All of the hard stuff, the confusion, the things you're looking forward to, the things you need help with. I think that there's a lot of unnecessary shame and guilt that happens throughout this puberty phase of life. So I just want to encourage you to go to God with all of it. You don't have to hide anything, even the things that you feel really weird about. God is loving you through this phase of your life, and I promise you that. So don't feel like you have to hide anything. Nothing's weird to God. God's seen it all before, and God knows the vulnerabilities of this time, and God wants to show up for you and show you love. Okay, so I know it might not always feel like it, but these changes are natural, and they happen to everyone. You're not weird, you're not alone, and you're definitely not the only one feeling all these emotions and trying to figure them out. Puberty is a personal journey, personal development, but it's also something that connects us all because we've all either gone through it, are actively going through it, or will be going through it. It's an integral part of our human design. Okay, well, I hope you found this insightful and helpful and comforting, and just know that I created this channel, Dear Love, with the intention of supporting girls and women in all phases of their lives, including you in this phase of puberty and development, and first periods, and your body changing, and understanding how to deeply care for yourself. So I welcome you here, and I hope that I can be someone who brings you support and comfort. So subscribe to join the Dear Love community. I would love to have you here. Give this video a like so that it reaches more girls who are searching up what to expect when they go through puberty. And leave me a comment down below letting me know if you have any other questions, if you have anything you want some advice on or some input on, or if you have any other video ideas for me. I love hearing from you guys and what you guys want to see. Again, thank you to Giovanna for requesting this video. I think it'll be helpful to a lot of girls out there. So thank you for encouraging me to make this. I can't wait to hear from you guys in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, love!